Today we're going to replace 2 broken axle shafts along with all the ball joints and suspension bushings to get my Polaris Ranger back in the woods. Welcome to Barn Tech. There's no bushings whatsoever for any of these bolts. And I should not hear the bearing make that sound. Should be smooth with no sound. So I'll have to replace these bearings. Well, let's first see if I can get the rest of these bolts out of the A-arms. Well, this ball joint press isn't working either. In fact, the ball joint press ruined the frame here. Let me get you in and show you what the ball joint press did. See that? The ball joint press actually pushed the metal out here. So I'll have to straighten that out after I get this bolt out. Well, I knew where this was going to go because I've done this before, but I did everything I could to avoid what's about to happen. There we go. That little booger's the devil. Well, the sway bar is obviously not doing anything, and I've not missed it. In fact, I don't really want a sway bar in there because it stops the articulation when you're flexing out. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the sway bar, and we'll see how it drives without the sway bar. I think it'll be okay. I just won't take fast corners. Sweet. Oh, dang. Huh. Okay, well, that didn't work out as expected. The bearing race stayed on here, so I'll have to cut that bearing race off. And this one I ought to be able to get out on my, oh, look at that. Snap ring. Okay. Well, cool. I'll get that snap ring out, and maybe this one will come out easier than I thought. I like to keep my hand over the snap ring here until I've got it out. These things like to go flying. That's why I put my hand over. All right, let's see if that comes out now easily or if it makes me work for it. Ain't gonna be easy. Get my hand underneath here to catch that. Oh, binding up. It's as far as that ball joint press will get up in there. Now that that bearing's almost all the way out, I bet I can get it with this punch. Yep. There we go. All right, and you can see where that ball joint press got pushed into the bearing, but that's okay. I got what I needed to done with that. So now we got to get the race off of the hub here. Looks like I can just get a chisel behind this bearing race. And I did. Alright. Let's go for the next size up. Awesome. She's coming off. There we go. Almost done. There we go. Bearing is off. Now to figure out how to get the new one on. I'm going to preheat this. Hopefully that'll help the bearing slide in a little easier. Whoa! That did help. Wow! All right, let's get the snap ring in there. Well, that bearing went in a lot easier than I thought it would. That made my day. I love a torch. Alright, snap ring's not quite in over there, but we can fix that. That's easy enough. Just make sure that snap ring's seated. Alright. Okay, I need to remember to put this on the hub before I press the hub in. Now we'll see if I have to put this on the press over there or if it just goes on easily. I suspect I'm going to have to put it on the press over there. That's okay. I hit this with a little emery cloth already, just to get off any rust that's on there. Now let's see. What? Nuh-uh. Hear that? That sounds a lot better than that original bearing. All right, let's put some bushings in this and get that on. of them go in super easy. Some of them need a little persuasion. Alright, can you blame me? I'm a little excited. This thing's been driving like garbage for a long time. And it's finally gonna start driving like it's supposed to. Boy, without even tightening it down, look how much better that is. Well, I really need the rubber bushings for these shocks too, but I don't have those yet, and those are easy enough to replace without pulling all of this apart again. So I'm going to go ahead and put it together like it is, and we'll just try to remember to get some new bushings for the shocks and get those put in soon. I want to share with you a question that was asked by one of the 7th graders in my Sunday school class yesterday. He asked, what about these other religions? Are they going to go to heaven one day? Well, I believe the Bible gives a pretty clear answer to that. Jesus himself said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Okay, now I'm on to fix what I really started this project for. And it's not because of the caster on the front wheels here. It's because I snapped both of the axle shafts when I took it to an off-road park last year. So let's tear into the front end now and get that fixed. Yeah, I didn't even know it was possible to have an end link this bad without it falling off. Look at that. Ball just comes right out. Garbage. Alright, I'm going to stick that back together for safekeeping. It's going to take a few days to order one of those. That ball joint's shot, and those bushings are shot. Brake caliper out of the way. Look how loose that hub is. So those hub bearings are shot too. Fortunately, I already ordered some of those, so that'll be easy enough. In fact, wow, look at that. The hub actually split apart. The inner race stayed on the hub and the outer race stayed in there. You can see, oh wow, the inner race stayed on there. You can see what broke when I was on the trail. So I got a new one of those. We'll put that in. We'll have to get these bearings out. First, I'm going to have to get this A-arm loose. There we go. Sweet. All right. Now to get this last bolt out of here. I hope I don't have to cut the head off of that one. Whoa. All right. Oh, I tied the brake caliper to that. Okay, let's find something new to tie the brake caliper to. And we'll look at that. Alright, and those bearings in there, those are trash too. Both inner and outer race both fell out. So let's press those out. Well, I had hoped that I could get away with not doing this, but the bumper's got to come off so I can get to one of those bolts in there, which meant I had to disconnect my winch. Oh, got the wire back on there. All right, there we go. Okay, so I wasn't able to get the bolt out of here. It actually sheared off the bolt head. That's a good thing. That's a lot easier to do than grinding it off. So now I put the nut back on this side, and I'm going to see if I can shear off the bolt on this side too. If I'm lucky, it'll just pop and I'll be able to get this A-arm off real easily. This is either stripping that nut out or it should be about to shear the bolt off. We'll see in just a second which. Perfect. Okay, so now that I sheared it off on both sides, I can get in there like this. Awesome. And let's see. That's what happens to those. They just get rusted in there. But that's why you get a new one of these. I don't know why they don't come with new bolts though, because you end up having to replace the bolt on all of them. There we go. And let's see if I can get I'm going to need to get a pry bar in there to get that loose. Let's see if I can get the axle shaft end out. There it went. That was easy enough. Okay. Well, there we go. All right. Let's see how easily this ball joint comes off after I pull these two screws out. There it goes. Oh, just a retainer, huh? Oh, is it still pressed in there? Am I gonna have, well, let's see what we can do about that. Well, I'm going to go for the easy win on this bearing before I get back to that ball joint. That ball joint looks like it's going to be a pain. If you guys know any good tricks to get a ball joint out like that, why don't you write it in the comments for me? Maybe I can use that next time. That's easy enough. I mean, I'll put it on the press if I have to, but I just thought it might tap out like this. Yeah, now it's coming. Almost done. All right. Took a win. Now, how do we get that out? That's going to be a little more difficult. If you got any good ideas, write them down in the comments. I'm sure I'll use them next time. In the meantime, I got to figure out what I'm going to do today. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I took a piece of corner post, fence post, and I cut a spacer to use with one of the pieces from my ball joint removal kit. I had to cut it irregular here so that I could get my vice grips in there, and I'm going to put this nut on, and we'll see if I can walk that ball joint out. Okay, I can tell right now that I should have left a little more material on there because it's starting to try to cock sideways, but we'll see if we're able to get it anyway. I tell you what we're going to do. I've got a little bit of pressure on there with that. Let's heat it up and see if it pops free with heat. Now this is, it's cocked sideways a little bit because I didn't get it, I cut a little bit too much off. Let's see. It's coming. Hallelujah. Okay, I got my vice grips pinched down in there now. Need one that's just a little bit thicker now. Boy, I hate to cut another one. Let's pause real quick and see if we can think of anything to do here besides cutting another one of those. All right, switching gears a little bit here. Instead of using that, I'm going to try, now that these threads are loosened up real good, I'm going to try it without the vice grips in there. Oh yeah, got more threads showing. It's probably close to popping out now. There it went. Awesome. All right, time to go order some parts. It's getting late. I need to take a shower, get ready for work tomorrow. So I will see you guys in the morning. All right, I'm using a 13/16 socket here over the ball joint with my ball joint press. And that looks like it's getting it in. It's going slowly, but it's going. Alright, let's try with the bigger wrench on here. See if it'll go in any easier. I saw it move. I wouldn't call it easy, but it moved. One of these times I'm going to push on it. Oh, I see bubbles coming out from the PB blaster, so the air from behind must be escaping. At some point it's going to bottom out here. Yeah, that just happened. Okay, ball joint's home. Let's see how much damage we did in here. Oh, it ain't pretty, but the bearing will go in there. That ball joint press kind of marred the bearing surface a little bit back in there, but we ought to be able to press the bearing right into that anyway. Just preheating the casting here, and now hopefully this bearing will just slide in. Sweet. It's got to go a little bit further to be able to get that snap ring in, so I need to find the original bearing. Looks like I'd thrown that away. I'm going to put a glove on because that's going to be pretty hot. My big hammer is in the house right now for a bathroom renovation, so we'll have to do with this mallet. Feels like it spins freely. So let's do the snap ring. Snap ring looks good. If you love taps, make sure it's home. All right, there we go. We've got a new ball joint, new bearing. Bearing spins good. Let's put this thing back in. Now comes the part I was most excited about. Time to see if the new axle shafts fit. Looks like it came with a cotter pin, that's good. They look good. Let's see how they compare to the originals. Okay, so that's what the original looked like. That's pretty close. That might work. Let's try. We got to get that ring to go into the hole. So get it lined up. Yeah. Hear that change in pitch? That means it's in there. Okay, so next up, let's go ahead and get that. Oh, that's still warm from all that heat that I added earlier. Oh yeah, I need the hub for that to sit against. And I still got the old bearing race on the hub. So let me go pull that off. I'll be right back. Well, I just made my third trip to Atwood's. So now I've got some more bolts that I needed. It's hard to tell how many of these you're going to need when you start the project. It's always going to be more than you think though. So this last time I went ahead and bought enough bolts to replace the rest of them on the other side too, just assuming that I'm going to break both of those over there just in case, because I don't want to make a fourth trip to the store. But it was nice that Atwood's had all of the bolts that I needed. Don't even waste your time at the other big box retail stores. But let's see, get this in there. New lower ball joint came with the new castle nut and cotter pin. So okay, so I'm pretty sure that the ball joint is not supposed to do this. It'll go through all the way through. But here's what I'm going to do to figure out how to set up the new ball joint. I'm going to figure out the average distance from this edge of the threaded part here to the center of this hole. And the way I'm going to do that Set this thing to inches. I'm going to move this all the way to the outside, and I'm going to measure from the outside edge to that point there, which is 2.604. Okay, now we're going to move this thing all the way to the inside. See, I had it to the outside. Now I'm moving it to the inside. And that's like 1/8 of an inch of slack there. Then I'm going to measure the distance from the inside edge of the bolt hole. All right, we're going to call this 2.060. Go write that down. .060. Okay, so the center point is going to be 2.332 inches. So I'm going to make sure that when I put the next one on, the center point of the next one is 2.33 something inches. Oh, wait. Reverse thread. Well, I've got this thing put back together now. It's time to take it to the woods and see how it does. It's been raining for several days this week and the creek is almost out of the bank, so this ought to be interesting. Well, we played the two-wheel drive game and this is how far we made it. So let's stick it in 4 and see what happens. Well, that was a lot of fun. The new axle shafts worked perfectly. The suspension is tighter than it's ever been. And I've got it back in the barn now, using it as a workbench for my next project. Click that subscribe button and you'll find out what that is. God bless.